What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Show and Tech. So for those of you who have been in the market for an Android box specific for IPTV, then this is the box for you. So today we are breaking down the Formuler Z Alpha IPTV Ultra HD streamer. And this box here is one that I can say right off the bat is an excellent option, an excellent budget option for those of you who are looking to get into Android boxes. So I was fortunate enough to own the Formuler Z7 Plus. And while this Android box, to me personally, still comes nowhere close to the NVIDIA Shield, this box is still fantastic. I really love the IPTV app that comes native to the box, which is called the My TV Online 2. So I was super excited to hear that the Z Alpha had come out with better specs and a better price than this box here. So you can pick up the Formuler Z Alpha right now on Amazon for $109 USD. The overall design and look of this box I find is very aesthetically pleasing. The black blends in with pretty much whatever it is that you might already have in your house. And if I show you the size of this next to the Formuler Z7, you can see that the Z Alpha Plus is a lot smaller. So this features a 94 by 94 millimeter design, which lends itself to the ability to just easily fit into whatever setup you already have existing in your home. So taking a look at the ports that are available on the Formuler Z Alpha, there's not really much as you can imagine due to the overall size of the box, but it does feature a one USB 3.0 slot. You have your typical power slot as well, an HDMI TV out, and then also your gigabit LAN. And finally, this slot here is just meant to extend your infrared receiver. So if you have this mounted behind your TV out of sight, and you still obviously want it to be able to pick up the remote, they have a nice receiver extension cable in the box that you can use to make sure that your remote is hitting it no matter where it is that you decide to mount your Alpha. So having said all that, in the box, you do receive everything that you need in order to get yourself streaming right off the bat. So it does come with the box itself, a compatible remote and batteries for said remote, an HDMI cable, your power adapter, and then that infrared extender that we were talking about previously. So in terms of the specs on the Z Alpha, you have a quad-core 64-bit processor with a high-performance GPU, 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM, and then 8 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, the RAM on this device has been a huge point of contention. So if you just look this up on Google and jump onto Reddit where people discuss Android boxes, you're gonna see a lot of guys who are hating on the Z Alpha, and their reason behind that is the fact that the Z7, so the model that I had previously, and the Z8, which is already out, both feature 2 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, whereas this only has 1 gigabyte of DDR3. Now, in my testing, I've had no issues with only having 1 gigabyte of DDR3. This has done everything and has done everything very well. One huge disclaimer, however, is if you're buying this for gaming, this is not a gaming box. So if you want to play games on your Android box, then you need to go sit down and grab a Shield. If you're just looking for IPTV streaming and media streaming specifically, then you're looking for a Formuler box like this one. So this also does feature an internal dual band antenna. So you're able to jump on your 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz network. What I love about this box, not only the size, but also the fact that it doesn't have a massive external antenna like this one. I always found this to be kind of cumbersome and very annoying to fit into my setup. I always had to be fiddling with this exterior antenna, getting it to lay down flat. Whereas this one here, and thankfully I live in a bungalow, but this one here has been able to connect anywhere in the house. I've not had any issues with lag or dropping. The signal has been strong over my Wi-Fi, and I've been using this exclusively on my 5 gigahertz network. It also features the ability to stream media over a network. So if you have a computer set up in your home where you've got movies and other things that you already own that you want to stream directly to the box, you can do that. So VOD or video on demand over network, or the option to plug in a USB or USB storage device and run VODs that way. And then finally, AirSync Remote Z lets you cast media or apps from your phone to the device itself. You just have to make sure that those apps have been optimized for bigger screens. So there's a lot of features, a lot of functionality packed into this box. So what we're gonna do right now is go ahead, plug this guy in, and then give you a first-hand look at what the UI looks like and what you can expect once you've had your IPTV server set up and you wanna run this box. And if you've liked the content up to this point, feel free to leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and ding that bell notification so that you can be the first one here when I release new videos. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Okay, so once you plug the box in and you've got it set up to your TV, you would go through the usual setup that you would expect. So at first it's gonna ask you to set your language, which obviously for me, I set to English. Next, it'll ask you to set your country, and then finally you'll have to set your time zone. Once you've done all that, it automatically sets up the time for you. It asks you if you want to have it in the 24-hour clock or the 12-hour clock. And as you can see in the top right corner, I've chosen to do the 12-hour clock. Next, after that, it asks you to either connect to your Wi-Fi network, or if you are using an Ethernet cable, then it'll ask you if you want to do an automatic or a manual setup for that. So for right now, I am using a 5G wireless network, and I have a 1 gigabit down connection. So just right off the bat, a couple things about this. I have added a couple of apps here, but when you get it right out of the box, you won't see NordVPN, but everything else that you see here will be available. If you want to change the order, so let's say you are someone that uses YouTube a lot, you can just click and hold on the YouTube button and then slide it over into the place that you want. And then when you're done, you just hit the back button on your remote and it'll drop it into place there for you. So very, very easy to slide apps around. So next, looking at what is available. So we can see here that you have access to the Google Play Store. So once you click on that, it'll ask you to log into your Gmail account. Excuse my camera. But you'll log into your Gmail account and then you have access to the full Google Play Store. So that's pretty cool. Just be wary of what apps you put on, because obviously not all of them are going to be most efficient on this box. In addition to that, you do get the market that is native to Formuler. And in this market, you have various apps that in this case have been curated, so they will work on your Formuler box. I do stay away from games on this box, just because of the fact that I'm pretty sure they wouldn't run properly, most of them anyhow, but all these other apps here are perfect for the box. So one thing that you might want to invest in, especially if you're using this for IPTV and other forms of streaming, is you might want to invest in a VPN. So there are options here available for you, NordVPN and private internet access. I've used both, but I prefer to use Nord. So you have the MyTV Online 2 app, and this app is actually very, very nice. So once you click on the app, so it'll say add portal or add M3U playlist. Obviously mine has already been added, but if you were going to add your IPTV server that you use, you can give the nickname. So just put in the name of the server, the portal URL, which should be provided to you. And then if you have connected via a MAC address, then you don't need to worry about anything else. You can just hit connect. If you are not connected via MAC address, that means that the provider would have given you a username and a password. So you click login required, you enter your user ID here, you enter your password, and then you scroll down and hit connect. This is my server here. So as you can see, the TV is working perfectly. If I hit the menu button while watching TV, then that brings up the menu tab for my TV online, and you can jump into the settings here. And there's a bunch of options that you can play with. So menu language, OSD timeout, the buffer time, if you mess with VODs, all this stuff I don't necessarily have to play with. I think if you are just a regular IPTV user, then the only thing that you'll be worried about is potentially changing the parental pin. So if you want to block certain channels behind a password. So you have a couple of options when you want to browse channels using MyTV Online. So number one is I can hit group on the remote, and then that'll bring up the channel categories. So US HD, Canada, USA and Canadian sports, for example. And then once you go into the channels themselves, you have the network name and then also what's playing on the channel. So that's one way that you can browse through channels. Me personally, I prefer to use the EPG. So if I click EPG on the remote, then it brings up this sort of cable TV looking interface that most of us are used to. And so this is by the group that you're already in. So if I go ahead and I switch my group to, let's say, USA and Canadian sports, then it opens up the EPG and I can see what's playing at what time. Also, when I highlight a channel, so if I went down to UNLV versus New Mexico, it tells me right there that this is basketball. So if I want to watch the basketball, I can go to group, USA and Canadian sports, click on that, go over, and then let's say in this case, I want to watch BYU versus San Diego, then I can just click on that channel there. So as you can see, it switches over pretty quickly. The information that I would need is there, and it's pretty straightforward. So let's say, for example, there was a group that I didn't want to display. So let's say I don't watch any kids shows at all. So I'd rather not have this kids group show up. I wanted to block that. Then what you would do is, so let's imagine I'm just watching TV. You'd hit the menu button on your remote. You'd go down to connections. So I scroll down to connections right here. Once I'm at connections, I click on the server that I'm using. I go down to edit. And then once you're in the edit section, if you scroll down to the very bottom and click on edit groups, then that brings up this window here. And I can just uncheck the groups that I don't want to show up while I'm browsing. So if I didn't want the kids to show up, or if I didn't want USA HD, for example, then I would just go down, uncheck USA HD, and that would no longer show up in the menus when I'm browsing channels. So if you press the back button while watching, it automatically goes back to the last channel watched. If you hold the back button while watching, then it'll bring up your channel history, and then you can go through and watch whatever channel it was that you had on before. In addition to that, at the bottom of this menu right here, as you're browsing, you can see that you have some options, and they're already color coordinated. So if I was watching a channel and I hit the red button on the remote, then it'll automatically open the settings for me. If it was a channel that I watch often, so TSN for example, then I would press the blue button and that would favorite the channel for me. So lots of cool options at the bottom. In addition to that, you do have picture in picture, which my shoulder is blocking. I moved the wrong way, but my shoulder is blocking picture in picture. So if I was watching or wanted to watch two things at once, so I wanted to watch Karate Kid up in the corner, then I can do that. I have it playing for me on AMC. So lots of functionality out of this. The YouTube app also works very well on the Z Alpha 2. So usually I find that with these boxes, YouTube is kind of finicky, kind of choppy, but with this box, it seems to work very, very well. So open it up, it looks just like I'm used to on my Shield. I can browse through. Here's a video by Dan Gage that he just uploaded. So if I want to watch that, click on it, it loads up as you would expect, and then the video just starts playing. So very, very easy. Same functionality that you're used to when watching YouTube on an Android mobile device or any other Android TV device for that matter. So I've really enjoyed using YouTube on the Z Alpha. Like I said, on other boxes, it hasn't worked that well. And so because this is dedicated to IPTV, for me anyways, what I like to do is go into the settings and make sure that whenever I power my box on, it automatically opens the My TV app. So it's just like having a regular cable box. The moment you turn it on, the TV just plays. Especially if you have somebody in your house that's not too familiar with Android devices, then you're gonna want to turn that on for them so they don't have to really worry about finding anything. So if you go down to the launcher settings, and then in launcher settings, you go down to startup app, hit OK, and then the default pin when you open this box is 0000, and hit enter. And you can use an air mouse. I'm just using the regular mouse that comes with it. Air mouse would be a lot more efficient, a lot faster. And then I scroll down to My TV Online 2, hit OK. And then so now whenever, like I said, I turn the box on, so whenever it's powered on, it's gonna power on and open immediately into My TV Online. So I won't even see this menu interface at all. I won't see the UI. It'll go straight into My TV, and then I can just start My TV watching. So very nice box. Everything works very well. The specs in it are pretty much perfect, especially for what we're trying to run here. Like I said, this box is not geared towards gaming. So if you're getting this hoping that you can run mobile Android games on this box, you're probably gonna end up being disappointed. This box is ideal for TV watching. And so that's pretty much it. That's everything that you need to know in order to get yourself set up and running on your Z Alpha. Now, one thing that I can say, one huge problem that I've had with this box, which might not be a problem for some, is the remote. So I mentioned while doing the tutorial that you might want to use an air remote just to make things a little bit more efficient while you're browsing and getting stuff done on your box. But here is the remote that gets packaged with the Alpha, and here is the remote that gets packaged with the Z7. So the Z7 remote is a lot more sturdy, feels a lot better in the hand, has nice clicky buttons, and overall just feels a lot more durable and a lot more fun to use. This one here is very cheap out of the box. The buttons don't feel great at all. As a matter of fact, it kind of makes my hand hurt when I'm pressing the buttons. I don't know why. So I try my best not to use this remote. It's just unfortunate that it has so much great functionality, especially in terms of the colored buttons that you can use for various functions like favoriting things while you're watching them, favoriting channels, quickly jumping into the settings, etc. So if you are someone that already owns a Formuler device, or if you're able to find a Formuler device on a secondary market, or maybe someone's just selling a remote because they prefer to use an air mouse, then a very great idea would be to grab yourself one of the Z7 or Z8 remotes, because these ones are still compatible with any other Formuler device. So I use, when I'm personally using my box, I use a Z7 remote to control my Z Alpha, just because this one is a lot better. And you can kind of just tell by looking at it that this one looks to be very cheap, the Z Alpha remote, whereas this one seems to be a little bit more premium. So if you're trying to avoid using an air mouse or having too many remotes on your table, then I'd strongly suggest grabbing this one to use exclusively. And so that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you liked it, leave a thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you for watching the video. Leaving you guys with much love as always. Throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.